First of all, I'd like to begin by saying that the accounts of India by foreigners up to about 1750 describe India, the people of India, as the most honest people in the world. Mark Twain, who came much later, he also said that he was amazed to see that Indians don't lock their houses. The Chinese travelers who came, Buddhists like Fasian and Yuan Chuang, they also went into raptures about, not only about the wealth of India, the progress of India, etc., but they also say that these are very truthful, honest people. Because today we are, all of us, when we sit privately, we say we Indians are all corrupt, everybody is corrupt, nobody is, all politicians are corrupt, all doctors are corrupt, all lawyers are corrupt, all NRIs are corrupt.
No!
There's kind of despondency. And I would like to see that despondency go. I saw that despondency when I took up this 2G case. Everybody told me that nothing will come out of it. Raja himself, whom I know personally, told me in the Hall of Parliament, Central Hall of Parliament, that in Tamil he told me, why you're wasting time? I paid everybody who's of any consequence and I'm protected. Nothing can happen to me. So, this is the kind of atmosphere which facilitates corruption. So the first thing that must come in all of us is that we will say corruption must go and something must be done and support anything that is being done. How that can be done by those of you living abroad, I'll come to towards the end of my talk. So, second thing I would like to say is that the corruption that needs to be first tackled is the misuse of public office for altering a decision from the meritorious or the optimal decision to something which is substandard or suboptimal, because somebody paid you money. The key thing is that is where the main problem arises. Unfortunately, in our country, once you start talking about corruption, we talk about practically everything. Digvijay Singh said, what is Ramdev? He accepts black money. Now that is not corruption. Ramdev gets money not by promising anything. He has not made a deal, there is no quid pro quo. How is he going to know it's black money? I mean, if somebody gives in cash, there is no bar legally to somebody receiving a payment in cash unilaterally, one way. That is, if I were to sell some goods, then accepting cash is against the sales tax law and the income tax law. But if somebody gives a donation in cash, that's not corruption. And this simple thing is not there. Supposing I go travel in a taxi, I have black money in my pocket and I give the taxi driver the fare in cash. That doesn't make him corrupt because he's accepted black money. So please be sure that the focus has to be for the misuse of public office for either benefiting and enriching yourself or somebody else. So that is the corruption that we are talking about, and all these big lists that Satya has put out, they're all where the public office has been misused. Public office is a trust and is a betrayal of that trust. So that's how I must begin by saying that yes, there may be, I can say dowry is a corruption. That you get married and you refuse to marry unless a motor car is given and a refrigerator is given. That's a form of corruption. You can say you can widen it. But the country today is suffering. The dimensions of economic system are suffering because of this. Second thing I would like to say is that, in this regard, is that the impact of corruption is not that some corrupt person or some criminal has given cash to a minister and the minister has become rich and a bad decision is taken. It has multivarious effects and it is ultimately weakening your country. What are those dimensions of corruption? First and foremost is that corruption, of course, suboptimizes the decision, and therefore the country's resources do not get the rate of return that they should by choosing the best project. If I have a tender, put out a tender for a road construction, and I tell the man that I will give you this tender, provided you give me so many crores of rupees for this project, he'll say, I'm not going to even earn lakhs. Where am I going to get this? Going to get these crores? So what does he do ultimately to get the tender? He then, in the tender, he says that the tender said that the quality of the road should be such, the quality of the bitumen used should be so on, all that. He does not carry out that. He then puts substandard material. So one rainfall, the road is finished. Whereas we build very good roads in India. Indians can build very good roads. We build them abroad, of course. We build them in Malaysia. We build them in Nigeria. In fact, George Bush complimented Saddam Hussein, saying that, well, whatever else I may say, but the road from Basra to Baghdad, where the American tanks went with great speed, was so good. He said, at least he built good roads. But I found out it is not Saddam who built it, but he gave the contract to India, and we had built that road from Basra to Baghdad. So we are doing extremely well where the performance is based on merit. And therefore, this is the way where our substandard products affect us. By this corruption, adulteration, they put all kinds of very harmful material into the... These are the areas by which the countries suffer. Second, when the corruption takes place, money changes hands, and it changes hands in cash. It can't be in check, because check can be traced. So that cash, where does it go? Part of it goes abroad. So I'll talk about that next. But first I will talk about the part that remains in India. What is it used for? It is primarily used for three things. I mean, in a harmful way. First and foremost, people, when they get a whole lot of cash, and now it is, the numbers are mind-boggling. In fact, this telecom scam, the first question somebody asked me is, how many zeros does it have? The Supreme Court judge. And I counted it and said 11 zeros are there. And certainly, this is something which is mind-boggling, this kind of thing. But it's not the only scam that is running into billions of dollars. It's many other. There's a coal scam. There is now a gas scam. And there are so many other scams which are there. And we therefore must know that these large amounts, they are huge. And this huge amount, some of it is used to put air conditioners in every room. Even in the bathroom, they are now putting air conditioners. They got that kind of money. You buy 5-6 cars, so on. And you build a palatial house. You go off to Switzerland for trips. Summer vacations, you go to 5-star hotels for dinners regularly. What happens is that these luxury goods, they come in great demand. And when they come in great demand, these industries, the rate of return on the investment in these industries starts going up. The profit rates start going up. So the investors, what they do, they say, why should I produce cloth? Why should I produce common man's goods? Why should I invest in agriculture? Let me put it in luxury goods. And that's what distorts your investment priority. In a country like ours with so many poor people, the investment should be largely in favor of those services, public services, things like that, which the public needs. But it goes in for what the elite or the top 10% need. I have estimated by using what is called as input-output analysis in economics to show that the Indian economy, 70% of the investment goes directly or indirectly to sustain luxury consumption in our country. That's a huge number. It's a huge investment priority distortion. So this is that. Then this money is used for forward trading in agricultural commodities. To the market, before they reach the market, they are purchased in bulk and put in the storage. And this is, you can call this as hoarding. Same thing with the vegetables, fruits, sugar, cotton, so on, so many other things. So there's shortages created in the market, and therefore inflation takes place. So in our country, we find our growth rate is claimed to be 9% per year in GDP, but our inflation rate is 16%. And people are daily complaining. When it rises great heights, then they open the godowns and the commodities come, and they made a cool profit on that. So this is another way. Then there is a question of the money part of the money being taken abroad. I would say about 1/3 of the total black money generated in India goes abroad. Estimates vary. Just now the chart showed $1.4 trillion. There are more conservative estimates which place it at $500 billion, but even $500 billion is a very large amount of money. And they are abroad in Switzerland, in Liechtenstein, in Cayman Island, in Macau, in China. There are about 77 safe havens in the world. And these 77 safe havens, you can put the money. Nowadays you don't even have to travel out, because you can sit in your home and get a Hawala operator to put the money abroad to a friend who can then through online banking or go to the bank and go to the automated machines and open your account. So therefore, this money that is yours, which should be used for investment in your country, is going abroad. But worse things are happening with this. And for this the credit must go to Mr. Chidambaram, whom I am expecting would be in jail by the end of August. I'll tell you the reason also why I'm so certain. But the fact is that, you see, when he was minister, he created a new financial derivative. Those of you who don't know derivative, doesn't matter. But he created a financial derivative called participatory note. PNs, yeah. Now what is this PNs? Yesterday, in fact, in Boston, about 7-8 investment banking companies and private equity companies, they wanted a briefing session with me. And so I had a 5-hour briefing session with them. One of them was Fidelity Insurance, Fidelity Investments. And the other was Morgan Stanley. So now, if I have a lot of cash, and that cash is then sent through the Hawala abroad, and I put it in the Switzerland bank, many politicians who are doing this had a complaint. The complaint was that if you put money in Switzerland banks, then instead of their giving you interest, you have to pay them a service charge. So there was a little feeling of being let down. I mean, we after so much effort, we put money in the bank there, and you have to pay a service charge. So he came up with this instrument for participatory note, which is only there in India and nowhere else in the world. Only in India. So when you have got your cash in abroad, you take the cash in a sack or a suitcase or whatever, go to Fidelity Investments or go to Morgan Stanley and put it on the counter and say, give me a participatory note. And they will give you a participatory note, which is only valid in India, which will have nothing but the amount you have put given on the counter. So you take that one participatory note of, say, you take it for, say, $100 million. You come to India and you go to the stock market and you invest it. Normally, if you took money and went to the stock market, the SEBI will ask you, where did you get this money? So Chidambaram changed the law that as far as participatory note is concerned, it will be exempt from any SEBI oversight. So he freed them from any oversight of this. So this participatory note, you then invest in the stock market. It's almost like cash now. And the stock market, when this large amount of money comes in, the stock market booms up, and then you sell it. And once you sell it, you make this huge killing. You take the killing with the participatory note photocopy, and you go to the Reserve Bank and say, now convert all these rupees that I've got in the Bombay Stock Exchange into dollars. There also the law has been changed, saying that this Reserve Bank must fully convert. Normally rupee is not convertible, but for participatory note and the profit from it, you can convert. You have to convert, the Reserve Bank has to convert to dollars, and then you can take the dollars abroad. So, and therefore you can earn. Now, question is, what about capital gains tax? Every one of us has to pay 25% capital gains. To avoid paying capital gains tax, a new law was made, and that was that if you create a $1 company in Mauritius, $1 paid up capital company, and that company comes and invests in the stock market, that because it is from Mauritius, there is no capital gains tax. And as a consequence, today, the largest investor of foreign money in our country is Mauritius, which has nothing but beaches and gambling casinos and so on. How can it be investing more than United States and Europe and so on? But that's because all this money is going out, and then via Mauritius, it comes back to India, and then they rig the market. It is a rigging of the market. And that is why we have this stock market going up and down. You can make it now at will. The Indian stock market, the middle class loses, but the rich people earn in a big way. So their stock market is gone. Then the cash is used to buy real estate property. So real estate is booming. You don't need the Indian banks to give you loans like here. People got loans to buy property. You don't need that in India. You've got cash. And that cash is used and the property price is going up. Now you can't buy a flat in Bombay for less than 25 lakhs. You see, a small flat. So it has now gone beyond the reach of even the middle class. So you see, look at the amount of distortions that have taken place. And then this corruption, once it becomes a habit, then you can do anything. Mr. Chidambaram, as finance minister, he said that India cannot produce high quality currency paper with a proper watermark and all. But England, there is a company called De La Rue, which prints that. So we buy from them, so that we can have high quality, like the 1,000 rupee note, you see, has a very high quality paper. And this has been bought from De La Rue. Now the Indian Intelligence Bureau objected, saying that, you see, this De La Rue also gives prints currency paper for Pakistan. So if you buy from the same company, then Pakistan can use that watermark and all that. They can, after all, these people in England, they don't owe you anything. They are businessmen. The Pakistanis will buy. All the Pakistani ISI printed counterfeit notes today, which are becoming very difficult to detect, which come to India via Nepal, they are because De La Rue sells them this currency paper. And Mr. Chidambaram has just frankly refused to do anything about it, because there must have been a deal in that. The CBI then, not knowing what is going on, they had got a tip-off and they went and raided Reserve Bank offices. But that case is now in cold storage. When I get little time from 2G, I will take up that case. Now finally, national security is also being seriously compromised. You see, if money can buy everything, then foreigners will also buy you. If they can't defeat you in the battlefield because of the valor of your soldiers, they can at least buy you out. They can buy your leaders off. This is I found for the first time. This is why I took it up first. When I came to learn that what had happened is that Raja had come to a decision, and I found that he didn't alone take the decision. Raja's at least announced the decision that spectrum licenses will be sold at the price it was sold in 2001. In 2008. In 2001, the country was having only 4 crore or 40 million mobile phones. Today, India has, the purchases of mobile phones now total 700 million, 70 crores. Such a big demand growth has taken place, and the sector has become extremely profitable. So, if you went by the market price, since 2G, was not auctioned, but sold at 2001 price, 3G was sold at auction price. Auction price shows that the ratio between 2001 price for spectrum and 2008 is 10 times. 10 times. And if you want to know the detail, the exact prices, etc., I have a book out which has been published a few weeks ago called 2G Spectrum Scam. And Mr. Guru is sitting here, and he will be, he will be able to tell you how to order it. I think there's Flipkart.com also. I can send it to you directly online. But anyway, I've given all the details in that. Now, what is this 2G and what is this 3G and all? People sometimes get confused, you see. Somebody asked Manmohan Singh, do you know what 2G is? I'm sure you know all of it. Yeah. He said Sonia Ji and Rahul Ji. These are the 2Gs. Well, if I can grossly simplify it, it is like this, that when I pick up a cordless phone and I speak on it, my voice goes and nothing else. And there the voice travels in a cycle. That is 1G. That is G for generation. So it's the first generation. Then second generation, emails, SMS, MMS, those cycles travel, voice travels in a more frequent, there are more frequencies, higher frequency sound waves, and that is 2G. Then if you want your video, so I'm speaking to you, I want to see you, and you want to see me, that is 3G. So the higher the number of frequencies, the more is the data you can send on and that's the distinction. Now, when Raja sold this 2G for 1/10 the price, he so arranged it that 2 companies in particular will be the first and second to get it. He first said everyone can apply and all will get. That was a recommendation of the regulator, Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, TRAI as it's briefed. They said, no cap should be there. Everybody should get, and the price should be so fixed that only those who can afford those prices will get the license. So the question of supply must adjust to the demand. But Raja then decided, after first saying that everybody can apply, then he said, no, everyone who applies before 1st October 2007, they will be considered. And when did he announce this? He announced this on 25th September. Only 5 days left. So people who are planning to do it after Diwali and all, they had to rush, and they filed. And even then 575 applications came. So 25th September cutoff date, 25th September he announces that 1st October is the cutoff date. After 2 months, on January 10th, he issues a press release in his ministry's website, not in newspapers and all that, that effective today, that is 10th of January, he issues this press release when? 2:45 p.m. He says, 2:45 p.m. he issues a press release that effective today between 3:30 and 4:30, all those 575 people who applied will not qualify, but only those who applied before 25th September. First condition. Even then it turned out to be 125 companies, 125 applications. And he said that not only they must have applied before 25th and on or before 25th of September, but between 3:30 and 4:30 p.m. they must bring a demand draft for 1650 crores, which is the 2001 price per spectrum. You can't get even 1 crore demand draft in such a short. 2:45 and from between 3:30 and 4:30. It's essentially what you're saying is that 1 hour 45 minutes. In 1 hour 45 minutes, 1650 crores of demand draft. Well, 9 companies had come with demand draft. Some of them are so shameless that they even had a predated demand draft. You see? Some, of course, managed with the banks to see that the date is the same as January 10th, even though they got it before. That means there was a leak. But because his 2 favorite companies, one was a real estate company called Swan, which had no other business except real estate, no experience in telecom, and the other was Unitech, another real estate company, which had no experience in telecom, not a single tower, nothing. Both these companies were already sitting in Raja's room when that press release was made out. And exactly at 3:30, the private secretary of Raja, he took them to the counter and they gave the demand deposit, demand draft. Both were predated 3 days before, and they got the license. And the other 7 also came, they had already got the demand drafts, they also got it. So total 9 companies, Tata's included, Spice is included, and Idea included, so many others. These companies all got their licenses. Now, what all these companies did is, after getting the license, they sold it to foreign companies, the controlling interest, or a substantial interest. Swan sold it to Etisalat. Unitech sold it to Telenor. Tata sold it to Docomo. Like that, all of them sold it to foreigners, except Tata, which sold it for 13 times what they paid. Swan and Tata's could bargain because they said, we'll give you the towers, we'll give you this, and we'll give you that to Docomo. So they charged 13 times. And Swan and Unitech couldn't bargain, so they got 8 times. The actual price was 10 times. So they sold it for 8 times. And if they had actually sold it for the market price, you would have got 1,76,000 crores more. What we got ultimately was only 14,000 crores. But we would have got another 1,76,000, a total of 1.90 crores is revenue. But because of this, it happened. Now, there is a rule which says that you cannot, once getting a license, within 3 years sell your license. So they found some technicality. We are not selling the license, but we are diluting share. In effect, they are giving the controlling interest to the foreigner. And you call this as dilution of equity. These are all the usual tricks. And they went through. Now, Home Ministry has a report called an advisory, much before this transaction, that we have information that Etisalat and Telenor, Etisalat bought from Swan and Telenor bought from Unitech, that these two companies are trying to enter India at all costs, because Etisalat is a Pakistan ISI front company. And Telenor is a company which uses liberally Chinese People's Army's produced telecom equipment, which can double for cyber warfare. So if they put towers all over India, with the help of the equipment of Telenor, and India and China have a border conflict or a war or whatever, all our computers can be made to fail. So therefore, the Home Ministry advisory was rejected. I mean, was ignored.